Coming up on Locked On NBA, more like Hallie him. I don't know what that means. We're going to do a playoff clutch lava floor game. Floor is lava. Plus, Boston and the Cavs futures are in doubt. And there's more fallout from the NBA lottery. All that and more coming up on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA, your daily source for all things NBA from the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and being with us Monday through Friday, being an everydayer here on Locked On NBA, whether you're joining us for Locked On NBA Daily or Locked On NBA Game Night, which recaps every game, every possession, every play, every single night. We do appreciate you guys being part of our Locked On community. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm co-host of Locked On Nuggets. I'm joined by Haize from Locked On Bulls and about 7,000 other Chicago sports-related podcasts. Doug Branson's still out today. He was going to come back because he got over the Hornets falling to 4, but then he found out that Joe Mazzulla is likely getting eliminated and he's not going to have any more Joe Mazzulla quotes to talk about. And that made him so sad he went back to the bar and started drinking again. We're hopeful to get Doug out of the bar for tomorrow's show. On today's show, we'll talk about fallout from the NBA lottery. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics and what their future holds if they need to trade everyone. The Cavs' disappointing end to their season. Where do they go from here? But we start, Haize, with this. Tyrese Haliburton in the fourth quarter of last night's elimination game on the road versus the number 1 seed, 64-win Cleveland Cavaliers. 7 points, 3 assists, including 5 points in the final 5 minutes of the game. He was that guy again, just delivered over and over huge shots in the third quarter and fourth quarter as the Cavaliers had kind of started to make a run, and then Haliburton answered back again. He's certifying himself as one of the absolute best playoff risers that we have in this league, which I don't think anybody really expected. You can see here at youtube.com/LockedOnNBA, we got graphic up. Where should Haliburton rank amongst the playoff guards? Donovan Mitchell's gone. Cade Cunningham's gone. Dame's gone. Luka's gone. There's Shea, there's Jalen, there's Ant, and there's Steph. Let us know who you think, where Tyrese Haliburton ranks among Shea, Brunson, Ant, and Steph in the comments at youtube.com/LockedOnNBA. But Haize, I want to ask a different question. Let's pretend that the floor is lava and you only can trust 3 guys to land on a little tiny pyramid and stay up because that's based on their clutch gene. That's how clutch they are. Who are the 3 players left in these playoffs that you think are made for these moments the most? And does Haliburton get into that list?
Haliburton's just outside the list. He should be on the list. He's just outside the list. Jalen Brunson, who's averaging double-digit points in fourth quarter. He's averaging 10 points on 50% shooting and like 45% shooting from 3. So he's definitely getting in. Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter of this playoff run is averaging 7.6 points on 41% shooting from 3. He's getting in. And then I fluctuated between Jokic and Haliburton here at number 3. I almost went Haliburton, but I'm still going to go Jokic, even though Haliburton's stats in the fourth quarter are great. But Jokic and his ability to do it, whether he's scoring himself, passing, or just creating an opportunity, Jokic gets in here, me at number 3.
I will put Hallie in alongside Jokic and Brunson. Those are the 3. Now, they're going to have to squeeze in because Jokic is very large. So they're going to have to, it's going to be very tight. They're going to have to get real comfortable with one another in order to stay on that little island. But I will keep those guys in. I'm sorry, Ant, you fall into the lava. You have been eliminated. What was your big takeaway from Pacers, Cavs, and the way that the Pacers close out the series?
I mean, it's just my thought this whole series. They have just been a team that's just been very well coached, very well prepared. Despite any lead that the Cavs get up to, they just go about their business. They don't ever fret. They don't worry. They don't panic. They don't rush their offense. Really, they go through their game plan. And you can tell that they are a very prepared team that very much so trusts each other. They trust their coach, and they trust the preparation that they do each and every game. So the Pacers have been one of the best coached teams over this playoff run, and it's really stood out the most to me.
Yeah, the coaching has been absolutely tremendous. Their ability to never, this stood out last year. They do not get rattled.
Yeah.
Like, you can go, they went up 20 on them, and they were just like, okay, we're just going to keep coming at you. They are never really unfazed, bothered, rattled. Nothing ever really gets to them. And I think that's what you absolutely need in the playoffs, especially if you're going to be an underdog like this. Knocking off the Bucks, they were favored in that series, but now knocking off the number 1 seed. You need to be able to be just unfazed. And they really were. And they had more composure, I thought, than the Cavs. We'll talk about the Cavs a little bit later, but man, you talk about coaching. I was really disappointed with Kenny Atkinson in the series. Thought he struggled a lot with the game plan approach and how they kind of approached the series. What do you think of Atkinson in the series?
Atkinson, man, he kind of disappointed me this series. I'm not gonna lie to you. And not to say that he was dealing with the limited roster, he was dealing with problems all up and down. And so it is what it is there. But and maybe that's just me overcrediting the how much they were missing as far as their defensive edge. This Cavs seemed like, I thought they would be able to be physical. I thought they would be able to match, and the Pacers really just beat them up this whole series. Like the physicality, the Cavs just weren't prepared for. So yeah, just a little disappointed by Atkinson.
Meanwhile, out west, the Thunder take a 3-2 lead over the Nuggets heading into Game 6 with a chance to close it out on Thursday in Denver. Lou Dort hits 3 massive threes in the fourth quarter to step up and be the guy that hits those kind of shots. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was pretty clutch down the stretch. The Nuggets offense completely fell apart late. They missed open looks throughout the fourth, but they really ran out of gas after David Adelman chose not to rest Jamal Murray or Nikola Jokic in the fourth quarter. They did not have the steam to get home despite a monster game from Nikola Jokic. Here's Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder with his view from OKC's perspective on taking a 3-2 lead.
I mean, for 40 of these minutes, it was Denver's game to lose, and they lost it. And Oklahoma City took it. And the poise and the collective togetherness of the Thunder team, it was impressive. And these are 2 different teams and 2 different series, but you look at how the game flowed in Game 5 of this series and Game 5 of that Dallas series a year ago. And it was the exact same recipe. And the Thunder responded tonight where they didn't respond against Dallas 1 season ago.
Yeah, good point there from Stiles. I thought that these last 2 games have been growing up games for the Thunder. Your clutch advantage can get you, I think it can narrow the margin to where you're able to win a coin flip game. But it's hard when that other team starts to adapt and gets better at those things. And that's what I've seen in these last 2 games is OKC is learning on the fly how to deliver in those moments. They lost 2 brutal clutch games in Game 1 and Game 3. But they've responded, and they're going to be better coming out of the series if they get out of the series than they were coming in, Haize, and that's pretty scary for a team with the best point differential in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean, Denver is not out of this series, right? I think that's the most important thing to be here. While the OKC Thunder have played great, I love the way that they've responded. They did take that game in the last game where I thought Denver was going to go ahead and win that one, but it was expected. I think me and you both said that the OKC Thunder were going to win that game. This series is going to go 7 games. I fully believe that, but they're in no way, I think, in a position where you can say they're clearly going to win this series because the way that the Denver Nuggets have themselves not all the way gone away. Like, yeah, the Thunder had that big blowout against them, but the Denver Nuggets have been right there. I would say, 2 out of these last 2 games the Nuggets have lost would have been winnable games, and that would have completely changed if they won either one of those, the look of this series.
Coming up, the Boston Celtics' future is in doubt. Where do they go from here after Jason Tatum's torn Achilles was confirmed yesterday? Plus, what do the Cavs make after such a disappointing playoff exit? And was the season a failure for them? Spoiler, it was. That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all at prices that fit your budget. We're doing some work on my patio to get it set for the summer, adding some new lights. We're putting in a new side table alongside the Adirondacks that my little wife adores. And we're getting all that stuff at Wayfair because you're going to get the best selection there. They offer a mix of styles that make it super easy to find pieces that match your vibe without spending a fortune. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for joining us. Matt Moore alongside Haize. Doug Branson's back tomorrow if he can find the will to get home from the NBA Combine. I'm excited to hear what he's got coming out of there. A lot of interesting results from the NBA Combine. Make sure to check out our NBA Draft Big Board show as well for all your NBA draft takes. Haize, Boston Celtics, the worst news was confirmed. We didn't have the news yesterday. It took them a while because Tatum went ahead and had the surgery. They just decided to get him in immediately. Didn't waste any time. Got him into surgery. Surgery to repair a torn Achilles. That's it. He's done. You know, some Boston fans and like Corrales is going to mention this, that it might be like middle of the year next season. I don't expect him back next season. I just don't. Yeah. I think he's probably gone for the full year. It usually takes a full season off to get yourself back to a conditioning standpoint and a explosiveness, or as close as you can get to an explosiveness standpoint to be able to recover. The question now is, where does Boston go from here? Before we head to Locked On Celtics, I want to ask you, where do you think the Celtics go from here, Haize?
Man, I think that they are in for a large overhaul. I don't know how drastic they go, but I do think major changes, they were coming anyway. I think when they're going into next season, they would have had a $500 overall roster bill with luxury tax payments plus the salary on the roster if they just returned all the players that have contracts next year without re-signing anybody. So I think you're going to see maybe KP. Drew Holiday's probably gone for sure. I doubt Al Horford's retained. And if I'm the Boston Celtics, I am selling off what I can for assets. I'm not moving Brown. I'm not moving Tatum. I'm not moving Derrick White. I'm not moving any of those guys, but just to see where we stand at next year. And hopefully that they do own their own first round pick. So whatever happens. If they make the playoffs, I think they have enough to still compete, of course, for a playoff spot in a weak Eastern Conference. But I'm more so looking to acquire whatever assets for any piece that I have that teams are interested in. But I'm going to try to keep as much. So when Jason Tatum is back fully healthy, we just got to make a couple of key acquisitions. We're right back there competing for a title.
Let's find out what John Corrales from Locked On Celtics thinks about where Boston should go from here.
Do you rip it to the studs, trade everybody, and try to rebuild? I just don't think this is not the time to, I think, throw it all away. I think it's going to be a creative summer for Brad Stevens. I can't even conceive of what Brad Stevens is cooking up right now. But we know the team's going to be different. But the team is also probably going to be good, no matter who they keep. They don't have to trade a lot of people, but they have to trade a couple of people. I think the guys that they trade, Holiday probably, maybe Porziņģis. Well, Porziņģis has had probably the most disappointing series here. I think a lot of fans are like, okay, it was fun, Kristaps, but this series in particular has got a lot of emotional reaction. If he's not able to produce, and he wasn't really a huge part of last season's run, it's like, well, you do well in the regular season when you're available, but is it worth it?
Yeah, I think tough questions there. The question here is like, okay, if the Boston Celtics move on from Kristaps Porziņģis, who's like, ooh, me. Like, that's the thing. Is like, if he's not available for you and you knew he was good, but he wasn't available, I don't know this is one of the problems again with where the trade market's going to be is I don't know how you kind of deal these guys. Drew Holiday's another one with the amount of money that he's making. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I will say I kind of like, I bandied about in my head, like, can you squeeze 1 to 2 more years out of Drew to make an addition of him to the Cavaliers? Maybe for, I don't know, one of the guards that's not named Donovan Mitchell. Maybe make that, is that worth it? Probably not. You'd have to get more back than just Drew. And I don't know if Boston wants to send out more than that, but yeah. I think it's tough. What would you do with Porziņģis and Holiday?
I mean, I'm gonna listen to all offers on them and see who has the best offer. Like, yeah. Both of them are over $30 million or close to it, I think. So those are pretty big salaries to try to find something. But I don't know if I have a specific target in mind. I'm just trying to listen to those offers, see what it is, because I think you got to also see what Jason Tatum's going to look like when he gets back, right? Like, so you don't want to make moves too much. And then when Jason Tatum gets back, it's like it's another 8 months or whatever before he really feels like himself. So I don't know. I don't envy the spot that the Boston Celtics are in because I don't have answers. And hopefully they pay people a lot smarter than me to find the answers to those questions.
One other thing, Derrick White's 30.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's a guy that you will get premium for right now. You can get a haul, I think, for Derrick White because he would fit so many teams and give them what they need. You could get a lot to help you restock for the 2027 when Tatum is back, the 2026-27 season. So a lot to consider, I think, for the Boston Celtics. Check out Locked On Celtics for more throughout the summer. Meanwhile, man, what a season for the Cavs. 64 wins, and then they get here and they rolled through the heat and then they just imploded. Danny Cunningham weighs in on exactly what happened with the Cavs and how to evaluate this season.
Donovan Mitchell probably going to be first team All NBA. Evan Mobley will almost certainly be second team All NBA. There was a lot defensive player of the year for Evan too. There was a lot of things to be happy about this year. But as I sit here, a few hours removed from the final buzzer of the final game of the season, I can't help but think that none of this was good enough. That this was a team that the entire season talked about winning a championship. That was their goal. And it was a very legitimate goal. Just about all season long on FanDuel, Cavs had the third best title odds behind Oklahoma City and the Boston Celtics. And now that's all gone.
The pain from Danny. It's funny, Haize. If you going into the season, it's like, hey, the Cavaliers are going to be better than they were last year when they were a 4 seed and got bounced in the second round. And they were so much better this season. And they wind up as a 1 seed and bounced in the second round in 5 games. And it just goes to show you, like, expectations really are the thief of joy. And it's also, this is one of the things that I think is really brutal about this. These are the seasons where the only response you can really have is the regular season doesn't matter. Because if it mattered, surely the Cavs, with the best offense in the league, 64 wins, all of these great performances, surely that should matter in the playoff time. And I think if we dig into it, we can look at Garland's injury and Mobley's injury in game 2 and Hunter's injury in game 2 and that coin flip game. Like, that was really the turning point, because if they do not collapse in the last minute of that game, it's 1-1. They split in Indy. Even if Indy takes game 5, you know you can win in Indy. You're alive here. You got to climb out of it, but you're okay. That was, to me, what tilted the series. How do you evaluate the Cavaliers after losing to the Pacers in 5 games?
I mean, it's hard to take too much evaluation from this game. They weren't complete, and even when they did have everybody out there, you can tell they were still banged up. Like I commend them for it. If I'm the Cavs, I'm not looking to make any drastic changes. You made a trade for Hunter in midseason. You had some injury concerns. I'm giving it 1 more year to bring back, maybe make some depth acquisitions or whatever else. And then the summer of 26 is where a lot of teams have money. A lot of teams are looking to make swings. You could then maybe, if you want to move off some guys, make your swings there. It's not like you re-upped everybody, so everybody's going to be under contract. So if I'm the Cavs, I'm not making drastic changes. I'm not looking to trade any of my starters. Maybe if a team comes calling on Jarrett Allen, maybe if it's the right deal. But even then, I think he's a lot more important than what the box score shows. And sometimes I think people really underrate what he is. But I'm going to roll it back again 1 more year, and then we can make a decision on major changes in the summer of 26.
I'm a little more urgent. Look, Darius Garland was just like, he was limping up the floor. I could not believe Atkinson left him out there in the last 5 minutes of that game, knowing they were going to target him in isolation. Like, I had no idea what the plan was with that. Like, he needed to not play. You haven't been able to see Garland in a good place in the playoffs since, his first kind of run where he wasn't good. I don't blame him for these performances. I don't blame Garland. I just wonder, to me, Donovan Mitchell has been, and like everyone was talking about his shooting last night, like he was missing good looks because I think definitely that calf was killing him and he couldn't get the explosion that he needed lift on his jumper that he needed. I still watch him in these games. Like he was coming back. He was like, they were within, I think 2. They were right there. And I just think you got to have guys that you can count on and that are going to be good, because Garland could have been healthy and maybe not have been good. He is a small guard, and I think having two small guards is really difficult. I think you have to surround Mitchell with three good defenders at least, and I think they backed him with two, and Allen three. Really, like they never really got to the best lineups either. Like DeAndre Hunter should have started every game of the series. Again, Atkinson drove me nuts. I would just be open to making some changes, and especially I'll say this: if they think Evan Mobley's ready to take over full-time 5 responsibilities, I love Jarrett Allen. I think he's one of the most fun players in the league. I love watching him. I love everything that he does. If Evan's ready to take over 5, the best move for you is to add better depth and versatility and defense by moving Jarrett Allen for more wing defenders. That's what they were short on. They were trotting out Sam Merrill. They were trotting out Ty Jerome. They were moving out Darius Garland. It's not Dean Wade's fault. Nothing that happened with Dean Wade was his fault. But to me, they got to at least consider it. Coming up, more lottery fallout. What happens now? Is Nico Harrison still in charge? The Mavericks are reportedly going to keep the pick and take Cooper Flagg. But what does that mean for the franchise's direction? Plus, we'll talk about the Sixers and Spurs, who we didn't get to yesterday, who also got big wins in the lottery. All that and more coming up on Locked On NBA. Shopping for a car should be exciting. It should not be exhausting. But between the confusing prices and the hidden fees, oh man, do I hate the hidden fees. I lose my mind when you're like, okay, so this is the price. Yes. Mm-hmm. This is the price. Yep. This is it. Uh-huh. And then you get in there. What's this? Oh, that's just a fee for the... No, I asked you what the price was. I asked the question. It can feel overwhelming. And that's why I love using CarGurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, they provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second-guessing yourself. If you need a deal that you can trust, CarGurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased deal ratings. They also have price drop alerts, so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. You got your eye on one, but don't look at that number. Just put it under the price drop, and you'll know exactly when it hits what you want. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Final segment here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for joining us. Matt Moore alongside Haize. Doug Branson back tomorrow with us. I missed my shot clock Sherpa. I am tired of running point on this. I am not a point guard on this show. I am usually a clunky forward chucking up threes, and sometimes they go in. I'm very Lou Dort like.
Colin Murray Boyles. That's what that sounds like.
There you go. All right. Let's talk about the lottery. Report comes out that from Tim McMahon, the Mavericks are not going to trade the pick. They're going to keep it, which I was like, I gotta be honest. I'm still kind of like, if the Bucks call and they're like, Giannis, you can win a championship right now. I just don't know how they're going to respond to that. But apparently they're going to keep the pick and take Cooper Flagg, which makes you wonder with Nico Harrison's win now, and all of the turmoil following the Luka Doncic trade. Locked On Mavericks with Nick Angstadt and Isaac Harris asks, is Nico Harrison still in charge?
One source briefed on the team's thinking said no chance they would entertain trading the #1 pick. You saw how excited they were in that draft room, that video of them all jumping around and everything. They're excited about this, and they're not making a trade. So if you were worried about it, it ain't happening.
Does the fact that they have committed to taking Cooper Flagg tell you that Nico is no longer in charge?
It tells me this. He no longer has unchecked power, which is what he had before, definitely in February. He no longer can just do whatever he decides to do, right? Him and Rob Pelinka decided that the Mavericks were going to do this. They decided together at Ascension Coffee, and we're like, okay, well then it's all on Nico, and maybe Adam Silver. It was all on Nico, and that's it. And now it's like, okay, Dumont is now part of this.
What could go wrong with ownership getting involved in basketball matters on top of the guy still being in charge who traded Luka Doncic? What could possibly go wrong? Haize, I will be honest here. Like, I don't love this for Cooper. Like, he's going to be on this team with AD in and out of the lineup, in, out, in, out, in, out. Kyrie's probably not back next season. I don't know who they're going to get. They don't have any cap space to get guards. They can trade Daniel Gafford for whoever. They still, I think, want to add like a Kevin Durant or LeBron or whoever in trade. But if you don't include Cooper, they're not going to take it for most of those guys. What is this Mavericks team going to be next season, man?
I don't know. It could be a tough team, but I think overall it's not just about what they're going to be next season. Like, they better not trade this, because everything that Nico tried to talk about as far as what they wanted and why they trade Luka, like, Cooper's the exact opposite of that. He's a gym rat. He plays defense. It's one of his best assets. So you better be all in on keeping Cooper Flag. Now, the roster doesn't make as much sense after you get Cooper as what it did maybe with AD and Kyrie if those guys are going to be healthy. No, there's tons of questions there. But if I'm the Mavericks, and I know this may sound crazy, and Matt, you tell me how you feel, I'm probably shopping Anthony Davis by the trade deadline.
Let's be clear. If rational people were running the Mavericks, the path is clear here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what's the team that's in a position to get him. But I'm absolutely 100% putting AD on the block. I would work a 3-way deal where he goes to a team, replaces a star that's below him. That star goes to another team that has assets, and then you do the 3-way swap. And you just I would start to zero. If you build a fun young team with Cooper Flag, Derrick Lively, try and get maybe like another pick to draft a point guard and go that direction, you can have a team that Mavericks fans will be like, okay, you did ruin my life, but I'm stuck with you. And you do have Cooper Flag, so I'm in. You can do this, but no, it's Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis and then Cooper Flag. No. They should start over, but they're not going to. They're going to try and do this 2 timelines nonsense that never works.
The closest thing to it working is the Warriors getting 1 title while being on the 2 timelines, but then it quickly came crashing down after that. So go ahead.
The other thing here is the other guys on this team are going to want to win. That's why they're in Dallas. They're at points in their careers where they're like, I want to win. I want to get my numbers. I want to get my bonuses, and I want to win. They're not going to defer to Cooper. They're not going to help Cooper develop. It's just going to be I like the idea of Cooper as like a catch-all. Like, hey, he can be a little bit of a point forward, and he can be a little bit of a defender and a little bit of an off-ball cutter and do all these. I like that model for him because the best comp I've heard is he's like evolutionary AK. And I think that's AK-47, not Arturas Karnisovas, just to be clear. But
he's actually a pretty good basketball player.
Yeah, he was awesome. And so both of them. So I think ultimately that this isn't going to work, but it's just, I think it's going to be messy. There's ways it can work, but it's going to be really messy. Let's talk about, before we get out of here, let's talk about Sixers and the Spurs. Spurs get 2, Sixers get 3. A lot of conversation about the Spurs now as the Giannis destination. I don't know that I love that fit. I just don't know that I love that idea of the Spurs trying to accelerate the timeline by trading what would probably be Castle and the 2 for Giannis. That's a great reset, I think, for the Bucks, being like, hey, we got the rookie of the year. We can draft Dylan Harper and have Castle and Harper, and that's our new backcourt. We'll figure out Dame when he's back from the Achilles in a year. There's complications, but that to me is makes a lot of sense for the Bucks. But if you clean out Castle and you move and you don't take Dylan Harper and you add Giannis to Wembanyama coming off of the blood clot, how do you fill out the rest of the roster in order for it to make sense? Like, you do need guards. Like, you're going to need some guards here. You got De'Aaron Fox for sure, but you're going to need shooters and you're going to need other playmakers on the court. I'm just not sure about Fox, Giannis, Wemby as the fit that they're going to need. Giannis also is going to have to play a lot of center versus the bigger dudes there, and I don't think that's great for him at this point in his career. What do you think about the Spurs trading the pick, or should they keep it?
I think they should keep it personally. I can understand if they want to trade it and go for it with Giannis and try to start winning titles now early in Wemby's career. But I think you keep the pick. I think it makes a lot of sense. Chris Paul is on his way out. You got Stephon Castle. You add a really good player here at number 2, and then you have a young core there. I'm forgetting about De'Aaron Fox. Like, you got Fox there. So, like, you have a solid enough team. So I don't want to see them jumpstart the process. I can see them doing it, but I think you just keep developing this thing. There's no need to jumpstart it right now. You got years and years to wait before you need to do that. And I think they'll be at the same place potentially that they would be in trading for Giannis by the end of what Giannis's contract will be anyway, if they just keep the path that they're on.
What I don't want to see is there's a lot of talk about the Sixers being the Giannis destination, and this is going to come off as Sixers hate, which I understand. I've been critical of various things with that team. It's more about, I don't want Giannis caught on a team that's in an injury vortex. I just do not want him on that. I do not. He's had to deal with this in Milwaukee, where it's like he's been out, or Dame's been out, or Mid's been out. Like, get him on a team that's got guys that are available every night, and let him actually have a chance to compete for a championship again. And I just don't know if Embiid's going to be healthy. I don't think you can say that with any sort of confidence. I am very interested with the Sixers. They're not going to. I know they're not going to, Haize, but they, much like the Mavericks, man, look, you got Maxey and Jared McCain, and you can draft. Like, I'm not high on Bailey. He's probably the guy that everyone's gonna be low on. That's better than we expect. That's what it seems like to me. But I'm not high on his game mold. I love VJ Edgecombe. So to me, that's like, you could have McCain and Maxey and Edgecombe and make this super fun young new team. But it seems like instead they're either going to trade that pick to use it with Paul George to try and move for another star, or try and add like another shooter around this concoction. What do you think the Sixers should do with where they're at?
I've been on this train for a while. I think they need to start preparing for life without Joel Embiid, and you do that by keeping the number 3 pick. You take I think Ace Bailey can fit in with what you have with Maxey, him, and McCain, like you said, and you start now having a young nucleus that can start growing together. And then if Embiid comes back and he's able to stay healthy, great. You surrounded him with much younger players, but I'm staying the course here. I'm looking to trade Embiid personally. That's just my thing. I think the 76ers go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off and start anew anyway, personally. But I'm definitely not trading the number 3 pick. I'm just not doing it.
Mostly I want this draft to go Flag, Harper, Bailey to Philly, just so that the Hornets do not end up with Ace Bailey, because I do not want Doug Branson to have to watch that. I do not want Doug to be stuck with that situation. That sounds awful. Miller and LaMelo and Bailey. Like, I want good things for Doug. Come on, get that guy at VJ Edgecombe. Let's go.
You think they break the record for most shots taken in the NBA season?
They're literally just like having a wrestling match at midcourt for the ball, so they can shoot again. All right, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure to check out Locked On NBA Game Night, breaking down every game, every possession, every play, every night. Give us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure to give us the like and subscribe at youtube.com/LockedOnNBA. Doug will be back tomorrow. My thanks to Haize for hanging out with me this week. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Till then, have a good one. We'll see you guys next time on Locked On NBA.